I'm Bubby Joan. This is one of my beloved sons, Daniel. And this is Someone's in the Kitchen with Bubby Joan. And today we're making traditional honey cake for Rosh Hashanah. And as a surprise, today we have a studio audience. Yay! Be back in just a moment. I like to make cake using the classic method that I learned in school, and that's to cream the butter and eggs and everything. So we're going to start with the dry ingredients. This is 3 cups of flour. Now the recipe calls for 1.5 cups of flour. I should tell you I'm making a double recipe. So the recipe will make the one loaf like you saw just a minute ago. I'm making a bundt cake. Woohoo! So this is 3 cups of flour, and I wanted to show you how I add baking soda and baking powder, because I used to live with someone who was very picky and he always got the little chunks of baking soda. So I always sift. So just a little sifter, brother. Here's 2 teaspoons of baking powder and a teaspoon of baking soda. I sift them in and everybody's happy. I don't sift my flour, I'm a bad girl. But what I do is lighten it by mixing it with a whisk. Now we're going to have the rest of our dry ingredients, which is our spices. So we have a ½ teaspoon each of cloves and cardamom and nutmeg. No, cinnamon, cloves, and cardamom. And this is 2 teaspoons of cinnamon and a teaspoon of salt. And I am also buggy about nutmeg. I like to use fresh nutmeg. So here's my nutmeg grater. In no time, I've got my perfect ½ teaspoon of nutmeg. Mix this all together now and put it aside. So when I'm ready for it, I'm just going to dump it in. The traditional recipe calls for oil. So my choice for this is butter, or the mystery thing that people have tasted with the almonds on top, which is olive oil. I also use coconut oil. This is butter, and this is 2/3 cup of butter. Grass-fed. It is salted, so not supposed to use quite so much salt in the recipe. It's good stuff. We put in the butter and sugar, cup of sugar, and a cup of honey. Well, yeah, it's honey cake. So this is my cool thing. Should I give a plug? Pampered Chef. But I love it because it's neat. So you just fill it up. I pushed it down to the 1 cup. Measure a little further because I don't want to take this all the way up to the top. I'm not going to lick with my fingers on screen. And then just dump it in. And you push the plunger, it pushes all the goodness in. Who wants to waste local, raw, beautiful honey? All right, so we're going to cream this together. And eggs. I don't know about you, but I raised chickens for a while, and sometimes not every single chicken egg you collect is the freshest thing in the world. And it's terrible to be mixing a recipe, have all the sugar and the butter and stuff, and then put in a bad egg. No. So, I know it's an extra step, but I like to break my eggs separately so I know each one is good. And the thing cemented itself to the dish. Wow! So So we're adding our eggs one at a time. At this point, it's good to be whipping the batter, okay? There's no butter and no flour in it yet. So I keep it running. Do this pretty stuff. There's 4 eggs. Beautiful, 4-inch eggs. Next county or 2. And no mess. Woo-hoo. All right, too crazy. All right, we're almost done. Can you believe it? My wonderful friend has sprayed the pan with baking spray, which has flour in it already. When I was a kid, brushed butter all over everything and then put in some flour, shook it around. But for these crazy bundt cakes, it's great to have the spray. So here we go. Now we are going, oh, look at this. What do I have here? The recipe calls for tea or coffee. So I chose to make this with Earl Grey tea because Earl Grey tea has a floral quality. So I thought, spices, floral, let's do it. Oh, hear the studio audience is getting excited. So the classic way to do this is to add the flour first, 1/3 of the flour, then half the liquid, then another 1/3 of the flour, then half the liquid, then finish with the flour. Mix thoroughly, but not too much. Okay, so we're going to start with just dumping in 1/3 of the flour. About 1/3. Blending in the flour. Of course, not just the flour. Remember, it has baking soda, baking powder, and the spices and salt in it. And then I'm going to do half of this tea. Yeah, look at that. And mix it again. And at this, so now half of what's left of the flour. A studio audience is being so nice and
yeah, it's delicious.
Like it? You like it?
Like it.
Here's the rest of my tea. The coffee would give it a darker color. We were just saying that some recipes even call for cocoa to get a little even darker color. And here's the rest of the flour. And what I do is when I put in the rest of the flour, I grab my spatula, wipe down the sides a little bit. And we'll mix the rest of the way. And that's enough. I mean, there's a few little bits of flour, but I really don't want to over mix. Why do I want to over mix? You've seen my video making bread, right? What makes bread rise is the wheat. I'm not remembering. Okay, anyway, when you mix and you knead bread dough, you're giving it the ability to hold on to the bubbles. There's a word there.
Air.
No. Gluten. Okay? Bad word. The gluten. So the gluten develops by mixing and kneading. Well, we don't want gluten to develop in cakes. We want the cakes to be light. So that's why we try to not to manhandle them. So now we got to do this without pouring any batter into the hole.
Do you want me to help try anything?
Sure. My lovely assistant is going to come and turn this cake pan as I pour. So you can see it's really pretty easy to do it. It's not a big deal. And you don't want to do butter, you can do olive oil, coconut oil. I mean, if you want to go crazy, get some macadamia oil, but then have the feeling that'd be really expensive. So the recipe calls for sprinkling some sliced almonds on the cake, which is what I did. You saw one of the cakes that I showed at the beginning had sliced almonds on it. But if I put the sliced almonds on this cake now, they would be on the bottom. Ah! So I was going to sprinkle sliced almonds in the cake pan before I put the batter in. It would have been nice, huh? Anyway, here is the cake ready to go in the oven, 360 degrees. But if you don't have a digital oven, 350 will do. Just go a little higher for 35 to 40 minutes. It's not going to go a lot longer being in the cake pan because we have the center hole open. So it's almost like two little loaf pans next to each other. So I'm going to throw this in the oven, and in a little bit we'll return and see the finished product. This baked about 40 minutes. I put a tester in, cake tester in, and it came out with just a little teeny weeny bit of crumb because we don't want it to be too dry. So here it is, and Star of David, look at David, cake pan, and it gets so nicely emphasized by putting just a little powdered sugar on it. And that's it, that's the honey cake. We did have a very scientific taste testing, and our studio audience liked the butter cake better than the olive oil cake. But the olive oil cake was good, just not as sweet, just has a little it really didn't even taste olive oily, but it was good. So there's your options: butter, olive oil, coconut oil, none of them too expensive. They give you a great result. Please don't use vegetable or seed oils. And this is Bobby Joan signing off.